My wife tells me that my iconic feature is wearing sunglasses. And I tell her, well, I really need them because I've been working at the beach almost my entire life, and I want to save my eyes, but I'm going to have to put on a different pair of glasses tonight because I'm getting old. And I can't read without them. Aloha, I'm Jim. Thank you for having me here tonight. I really wanted to talk a little bit about how life is a journey. And some of us take that journey through the mountains, and some of us take that journey across the plains. I think about people who walked across America behind a covered wagon. Some of us take that journey through the plains of Africa. I mean, we've heard these stories forever, but the story I want to tell you today is a story about the ocean. And I want to tell you the story about a boy. So, like all great stories, it's got to start somewhere, and this one starts with breakfast. There's two 5-year-old boys just eating their cereal as fast as they can because they really just want to get right down and spend their entire day at the beach. The sun's out, the water's kind of cold, there's a little bit of waves, and they're going to be in and out of the water all day. Once they get too cold, they'll go into the sand and roll around like monk seals, and they'll cover themselves in that warm sand. And back in the water, and back to the beach, and they're laughing. And they're there, and they're looking over to this funny pier, and there's some older guys over there, and they're riding these surfboards. And the two boys really want to have a surfboard. So the dad comes down, and they say, Dad, come on, we want a surfboard. And Dad says, no, boys. No, you're not ready for that. No, can you catch a wave without pushing off of the bottom yet? Because they're body surfing and they're using these canvas mats, but they have to push off the bottom. And he says, once you let go of the land, then you become one with the ocean, and I'll get you a surfboard. Christmas Eve. There's a poster on the wall, and it has the names of these surf breaks: Waimea Bay, Sunset Beach, Pipeline. It's got this wonderful picture of this massive wave in Hawaii. And as the boy falls asleep that night, he's thinking that just maybe he might wake up and find a surfboard under the Christmas tree. And guess what? There it was. 9.6 Keoki longboard. Man, that thing was heavy. But the boy was so excited. Dad, please, can we go? Can we take it out? I want to go try this board right now, today. And Dad's like, no, your 3 brothers have gifts too, but we'll take you soon. And within the week, the boy gets to go out with the dad and the dad's friend, and they walk down the long trail. Now, the boy can't reach around the board. He has to put a towel on his head, and his dad puts the board up on his head, and he has to carry it all the way down this half-mile-long dirt trail to get down to the water. And they light a fire, the 3 of them, on the beach, out of the driftwood, and they go out surfing. Now, there's no wetsuits. There's no leashes. This is kind of a long time ago. So the deal here is that you'd surf until you couldn't feel your feet anymore. And then you'd come in, but coming in, you'd have to walk over these kind of like rocks, and the rocks had little papi on them kind of things, and you'd kind of cut your feet. And then you'd go sit by the fire and everybody'd talk, and when your feet started to bleed, you knew you could go back out again because your feet had thawed out enough. So the boy's sitting there waiting for his feet to thaw, and he looks at his dad and his dad's friend. He says, you know, one day, Dad, I'm going to surf the biggest waves in the world. And you should have seen those 2 guys laugh. Yeah, right, boy. Good. We're happy about that. Good. Waikiki. The boy's hustling to get home from school. And he's running through Fort DeRussy. And yeah, the asphalt down there is pretty hot. It's pretty hot on your feet. But he didn't want to miss the catamaran ride out to Kaiser's Bowl, because every evening you could get a free ride out. You could get that ride right out, drop off, and you could have an hour out surfing in this amazing wave. And so the boy did catch the catamaran. Uncle Bob was there, and he said, welcome aboard. Hold on to the back, we'll drop you off. So the boy learns how to surf, and now he's surfing waves with tubes. But something funny happens. He starts to sit there between the sets in the summertime in Waikiki, and he's looking down at the bottom. And he sees all these fish, like they're just swimming around. And there's at Kaiser's, if you've ever been there, there's an old pipe barge that crashed out there. And so there's these pipes that are coming up, and it's really interesting. And so he's looking at the bottom, and he's going, I wonder what's down there. What's really going on? I mean, the waves are cool and everything, but there's more to this. And so the boy starts to look down and duck his head down. And then he decides that really there's a whole new world down there. There's a whole nother piece of the ocean to learn, to find out about, to discover, to understand. It's a Malia day, just the kind we get here in the winter. And the boy has now become a pretty accomplished diver. He's headed out to Pa'alea Point. That's the point on the outside of Hanauma Bay, because he knows that's where the cowries are. And on a calm, calm, calm day, maybe 1 or 2 days out of the year, you can actually walk up onto the reef and get a cowrie. Pretty special place. But as he's swimming out there, and all he's got on is a pair of goggles, he decides to go look down in this big crack, because that's where the lobsters are. And sure enough, when he goes down about 15 feet and he looks in, holding his breath, there they are. It's full of lobsters. And those lobsters, when they see him, start to kind of rustle. If you've ever heard lobsters underwater, they creak. They make a creaking noise. And it's them kind of hustling around in that cave. And the boy is fascinated. And so he goes down again and again. Now, he's not going to catch any of those lobsters. He's just watching them. He's just amazed to see a cave full of lobsters. And he goes down one more time. And when he comes back and turns around and he looks, there's a hammerhead shark staring at him. A 10-footer. Howe, who's more scared, the boy or the shark? Well, I'll tell you, the boy was scared. But the shark was scared too, and it disappeared. But what a moment to stare a 10-foot shark right in the eye on a Malia day at Hanauma Bay. So the boy swims back into the beach. Back to Waikiki. This is where I got to keep myself on track. What's the boy going to do next? He goes back to Waikiki, and now Uncle Bob says, welcome aboard. We're going to teach you to sail. You're going to sail this catamaran, this 63-foot boat. We're going to teach you how to sail. And so he learns a new world. He learns to harness the wind. He learns to be with people that haven't been on boats. And he learns enough where he's trusted to be what's known as the dockman. Now, this is the big catamaran. And to bring it in and out of this very small channel with surf on both sides is no small feat. It doesn't have a motor. And like Hokulea, it has to be towed. And so he's going to be the one to tow the boat out through the channel and wait on the pier until the boat comes back in, just as it gets dark, and bring the boat back in. He looks out to sea and a Kona storm is coming. The sky is black. And it's broiling, and it's onshore, and it's coming in, and the ocean turns into a raging maelstrom. And just as it's getting dusk, he hears the whining of a speedboat. And that boat, he's thinking to himself, boy, they're really coming in late. I sure hope they know the channel down at the Alawai. And the next thing he hears is a crash and screams. Help. And I mean, this is a piercing scream. What does he do? He doesn't know. But he's on the dock. He calls security, dives in the water, and he swims out as fast as he can out to go look for what happened. And when he gets out there to the channel, he sees a woman and a man who's not awake. He's passed out, and this woman has wrapped this man up in a ski rope. And she sees him, and she is so relieved. She says, please help me, help my husband, he's hurt. And so the boy grabs the husband, and it's just 6 feet. just 6 feet over to the reef where it's only 2 feet deep. And he drags him over, and then he goes and pulls the woman over, and there the three of them are. Now he's got to get him to the beach. So they're walking and dragging him over, but there's coral heads. And this is live coral. His feet are getting cut. He's falling. He's tripping. But the man is still unconscious. But he gets him to the pier. And as he arrives at the pier, the firemen show up. He's so pleased to see some help. And he turns the man over to the firemen, who take him, and they start to do CPR. They take the woman and pull him up. He's just sitting there watching this all happen. The man died. And that boy, that day, swore to himself that he would never find himself in that position in the ocean ever again, when somebody needed help and he didn't know what to do. Santa Barbara, California, surf team, paying his way through college now, having to work all night to pay the bills because he really wanted to have a ranch boat. And he had one. His girlfriend actually bought it for him. She's sitting right there. And his friends are all saying, "Why are you working at this motel? Why are you doing this? You're a great surfer. You understand the ocean. Why don't you become a lifeguard?" Oh no. How do you do that? So he goes down to Ventura Pier in February. There's snow on the beach. And it's competitive. And you have to swim around the pier for the tryout test. But he makes it. He's the last guy. Slowest guy, but he makes it. And that's how he pays his way through school. Uluwatu, Bali. The waves are unreal. One of the best lefts in the world. It's a crystal clear day. It's 6 to 8 feet. It's amazing. The 4 boys are sitting on the cliff. They're not boys anymore. They're young men now. And they're looking and they're going, "Can we go out there?" There's only one way out to the surf. You have to paddle out through a cave. You have to go down a bamboo ladder into a cave. You have to time it so that when you go out the cave, that you don't just get pushed back into the lava cliff. But the boys decide to go. And so the first young man down, Timmy, he's calling to the young kids up on the hill, "Can I go? Can I go?" And it's high tide. And so when the waves come in, it fills the cave all the way up. This is a 30-foot high cave. And they say, go for it, man. Don't you look back, go." And he goes, but he doesn't time it right. And he gets pinned by the incoming wave up on the top of that cave. He gets pinned. And the next wave hits him, and he gets knocked unconscious. And the young man behind him knows exactly what to do. He jumps in the water, swims to his friend, grabs him, drags him out of the cave, and brings him back to life. He lives in Java today. Waimea Bay, February. It's big. It's really big. It's closing out. It's going to be the boy's first day as a lifeguard in Hawaii. And when he gets there, he has a thought to himself. I wonder what's going to happen today. I'm going to be the first one there. I'm going to be the last one to leave. I'm going to show all of these fellows that I'm going to work with that I'm worthy to work here. And so he gets there early. He sets up the beach, puts out the flags. Terrible Ted and Toke show up. They kind of roll in, and they look, and it's all good. They're like, "Wow, this is pretty amazing." He goes up and sits in the old plywood tower, those orange ones. And he looks over to his left, and carved into the plywood, Aikau. C-E-S. Clyde, Eddie, and Solomon. He starts his log sheet, J. Howe. So life's a journey. And this one's going to end here tonight. But it's going to go on, and it still goes on. But it's really an amazing journey because every day we get a chance to start a new chapter or to write a new page in our book. And that's the lesson of the surfer. Make every day special because every day in the ocean is a blessed day. Aloha.